Benny Bunny hit the Little Wonder Trail at a steady pace. Each hop sent a light rhythm through the garden air. The morning sun poured over the village, turning the rows of marigolds into a vibrant wall of gold. Underfoot, the dusty path was marked with intricate patterns, swirling lines etched into the earth that caught the light with every jump. Benny stopped near the wide, sweeping shadow of a large mango tree. He took a breath and let out a sharp, clear whistle that echoed against the clay pots lining the garden edge. He waited. A soft movement shifted behind one of the larger pots. Tara Tomato stepped out into the open, her feet finding the center of the path. She stood tall, her round form steady as she tilted her head toward him. "Namaste, Benny," she chirped. The sound was bright, cutting through the quiet hum of the morning. She held a basket filled with fresh produce, the greens and reds catching the sunlight. Benny leaned forward, his ears twitching as he acknowledged the greeting. The garden felt alive, the air thick with the scent of earth and the promise of a long day. The meeting had begun. Before Benny could respond to Tara, a sharp, rhythmic beat cut through the garden air. It was a rapid, hollow thumping sound that grew louder with every second. Kalu Carrot sprinted into the clearing, his feet kicking up small puffs of golden dust. He tapped a small dole with intense focus, the sound echoing off the tree trunks and clay walls. "I am Kalu Carrot," he shouted, his voice ringing out over the rhythmic drumming. He did not stop moving, circling the space with quick darting steps that kept the energy high. Just as the drumming reached a peak, a heavy thud signaled a new arrival. Pihu Potato waddled into view from the far side of the mango tree, leaning forward as he carried a large, overflowing basket. He set the load down on the grass with a grunt of relief, the weight causing the surrounding blades to flatten instantly. "Energy for everyone," Pihu announced, wiping his brow and patting his round form. He moved with a deliberate, steady pace, contrasting with the frantic energy of the drum. Benny watched as his circle of friends widened, the garden feeling more crowded and vibrant by the heartbeat. The preparations were picking up speed, and the atmosphere shifted from a quiet morning meeting to a bustling communal event. The flowers near the edge of the clearing began to rustle, drawing the attention of the group. Bina Brinjal emerged with a sharp, spinning motion, her movements fluid as she wove through the stems until she reached the center of the gathering. She paused beside a large clay water pot, letting out a laugh that seemed to ripple through the air. The circle was nearly complete, but the sound of steady footsteps interrupted the quiet. Coco Cucumber walked into the clearing, balancing a tray of cool water cups with practiced care. He set the tray down on the grass, the surface of the water trembling slightly before going still. Benny led the way to the wide, flat space beneath the mango tree. The shade was thick and cool, offering a perfect boundary for their meal. They spread a large, woven mat across the grass and began to lay out the banana leaves. Each friend took a position, placing their baskets of produce and water cups with precision. The arrangement was a careful, deliberate process. They moved the fruit and vegetables into small, orderly piles, ensuring that everyone could reach the spread. The garden hummed with a low, expectant energy as the final leaf was smoothed out. The feast was ready. The final slice of fruit vanished, and Benny stood up, clapping his hands twice. The signal rippled through the circle. One by one, the friends rose, shaking off the stillness of the meal. Benny reached out, grasping Tara Tomato's hand on his left and Coco Cucumber's on his right. The others followed suit, locking fingers until the chain was complete. A gentle folk melody drifted from the nearby trees, and the circle began to sway. They moved in perfect synchronization, feet tapping against the soft earth. The tempo shifted, quickening as the rhythm took hold. They began to spin, their bodies creating a wide, rotating ring that moved around the mango tree. Each step was deliberate, pushing off the ground with force, turning the clearing into a whirlwind of motion. They pivoted and leaned, the collective momentum pulling them faster into the center. Benny led the rotation, his eyes bright as he steered the group through the turning rhythm. The ground vibrated under their synchronized weight. They danced with total focus, feet blurring against the grass, arms stretched tight to keep the circle unbroken. The energy in the air sharpened, reaching a peak of pure, unbridled movement that turned the garden into a singular, spinning entity of joy. The melody slowed until the final note drifted away into the rustling leaves. The garden shifted as the sun dipped behind the horizon, turning the sky into a wash of deep gold and cooling violet. Benny stepped away from the center of the clearing, his breath coming in steady, rhythmic puffs. He led his friends toward the wooden signpost that marked the edge of the Little Wonder Trail. They gathered in a tight row, their movements synchronized as they raised their hands in a final, sweeping wave. "See you next time," they called out, their voices carrying over the quiet garden. The echo faded into the darkening brush. Benny reached back to check the straps of his pack, his thumbs catching on the fabric. He turned toward the path, his feet finding the familiar, dusty trail that curved away from the village. The air cooled rapidly. Above the silhouette of the trees, the first silver stars pricked through the velvet dark. He began to hop, a steady, rhythmic sound against the hard-packed earth. Each bound moved him further from the garden and closer to home. Behind him, the village lights began to blink to life, but he kept his eyes on the trail ahead, moving steadily through the peaceful, deepening twilight.